Welcome to the Monetary Mixtape with Will Hoffman, founder of Hoffman Wealth Management. In this podcast, we help fellow Gen Xers simplify complex wealth issues that are important to Gen X. We do this by cutting out the mundane material and using a refreshing approach to finances in a way this skipped generation appreciates. Join us for this ride where we explore financial planning and wealth management as Will Hoffman draws from almost 20 years of experience and brings to you qualified guests to help be your latchkey to tricky monetary affairs.
Welcome to Monetary Mixtape with your host, Will Hoffman, where we talk about the ever-forgotten Gen X. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hi, Will. How have you been spending your time?
Well, Wendy, I wish I could say it's been a bit more productive, but I have you to blame for the lack of really focusing on much other than binge watching Cobra Kai for the last couple of days.
Oh, no.
And now I'm happy to say I'm almost caught up, and it definitely holds up. There's every reference to the old Karate Kids are in there. A lot of surprise appearances by folks that you had forgotten about. And they've definitely done our generation some justice with this series. And I have been glued to the television whenever possible for the last couple of days.
Well, I had fallen off that bandwagon, and so I have to catch up. I believe I'm up to the start of season 3, so I will work on it, and we will discuss in further episodes.
Well, and season 3 gets really awesome, and I'm not going to give you much more than that because I don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, it's definitely worth the binge for sure.
All right. I'm looking forward to it now that the weather's getting a little bit not as,
Yeah.
can spend some time indoors. All right. We love to talk about Gen X and all that this generation faces. What challenges are there specifically for us Xers?
Well, when it comes to our money and when it comes to planning, we have all, and this is regardless of generation, we've all generated our financial habits from our parents, but our retirements are going to look a little different. So understanding what our retirements look like, how we are, saving for, investing, how we like to invest, all of those things are going to be much, much different than what our parents and grandparents experienced. In addition to that, and this really isn't a challenge, this is a giant opportunity that our firm and our profession has transitioned into being fiduciaries and needing to do what's in our clients' best interest. So now the things that our parents dealt with, the dinner seminars where, these advisors would sell you or buy you a steak if you bought their financial product, fortunately are becoming a little bit less popular, which is a good thing. Those types of programs, we bought a financial product in the mood of the market or in the mood of the event and may have not been doing so in our best interest. So it's really been this giant transition, which is something our generation has always been accustomed to. Remember, we ushered in MTV. We ushered in, what was the song? Video Killed the Radio Star. So
that's it.
So now we got to watch music videos instead of just listening to them on an FM radio or an AM radio. And so it's transition that we're comfortable with. It's transition that we're used to our parents rolling our eyes at the music videos or the music that we were listening to. And a quick funny story. I share a building with my dad. And one morning I know exactly what I had Dr. Dre on my radio one morning or playing through my computer one morning. And my dad comes in and looks at me and goes, "Are you ever going to outgrow this?" And I said, "You know what? No, I'm not. It's not going to happen. This is my music. Nobody's asking him if he's going to outgrow the Beatles. Don't ask me if I'm going to outgrow Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg because it's not going to happen."
Well, what did you think you were going to move along to? Classical music, jazz, country?
Bob Seger is going to become my new favorite, I guess. No, I love Bob Seger, so no disrespect there. But right, they hung on to the Beatles. They hung on to the Creedence Clearwater Revival. We're going to hang on to Dr. Dre and Nirvana. It's just every generation will.
Yeah, I think that our musical tastes vary a little bit. So that leads to the question, as MTV did debut and all of these videos came out and they were so spectacular because it was nothing we had ever seen before. What do you consider the most memorable of those first videos that you saw in the early days of MTV?
Oh, boy. Memorable. There's so many. When you think of Gen X and popular music videos, Madonna's Vogue always comes to mind. Guns N' Roses, November Rain always comes to
Ugh,
mind.
one of my favorites.
My favorite video, which is a little bit later in the Gen X and the MTV movement, was Ice Cube's Today Was a Good Day.
Mhm.
Always a favorite of mine. However, the most iconic music video probably still of all time has to be Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, well, that was a
it-
mini movie.
right. And so was November Rain.
Yes. Yes.
But Michael Jackson's Thriller, always number one on the most iconic video lists, always makes you stop what you're doing to watch the rest of the video. And now we're calling our kids into the room to watch a video whenever it comes on, because MTV is really not showing many music videos anymore.
Where's the music?
Right. But yeah, I have to go with Michael Jackson's Thriller when I think of Gen X and MTV. That, the other thing I think of with MTV, and this may go way back, was the game show that they had on their Remote Control, where we got our first introduction to Adam Sandler. And it was just a silly, goofy game about music and television, and often gets forgotten, and something else that could be due for a reboot.
People loved that show.
Yes.
And speaking of game shows, do you recall, and it was on VH1, not MTV, but Rock and Roll Jeopardy?
I'm drawing a blank.
No, you don't remember it? Jeff Probst.
I'm just finishing Cobra Kai. Now I'm going to have to go back and get caught up on Rock and Roll Jeopardy.
Jeff Probst was
Oh, wow.
the MC of the show. And this was way before, Survivor. So I was a fan of his from then. So yeah, you have to check it out.
Yes,
Rock and Roll Jeopardy. So much fun.
Going in the notes, and that'll be the next time suck that garners all my free time.
Going down the VH1 rabbit hole.
Right.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the main differences between what we saw our parents do to what we have to do, and then really even what our kids need to do.
Sure. So, we're talking about our parents, which are early baby boomers, or, latter of the previous generation. They had traditional pensions. They had predictable Social Security. So when it came time for them to retire, it was just a matter of picking a date. 401ks hadn't been a big part of their retirement planning yet. All the different retirement planning options, company stock wasn't a big part of their portfolios yet. So it was just a matter of picking a date that they felt comfortable with their current income, and then counting on Social Security cost of living adjustments. And ours is going to look completely different. For the most part, we're going to be on our own, which is something that we're accustomed to, that we're not afraid of.
Always have been.
We were latchkey kids. We came home. We were on our own to do our homework until our folks came home from work, and our retirement's not going to be much different. We're going to have to count on our 401ks. We're going to have to count on, our income plans. We're also going to have to think about Social Security a little bit different. And there was a study done not too long ago by T. Rowe Price, I believe, that Gen Xers, about a little bit more than half, 56% of Gen Xers really don't think Social Security is going to be something they can count on, and is going to be bankrupt before we can count on it. And when asked the question, 73% says that something will be there, but it's not going to look anything like our parents' scenario does. So in true fashion of latchkey kids, this is going to be up to us. We're going to be on our own.
So let me ask, with the difference of Social Security between now and how our parents obtained Social Security, and the amount, is it that they got more and they were just getting less now, or has the cost just outplayed the amount we're getting?
Well, the biggest impact has been, there's been a lot of baby boomers. It was the largest demographic for a very, very long time, and the projections changed so much. In addition to that, we've gone through a lot of economic events, from, 1987 market crash, from the dot-com era tech wreck, to the financial crisis, to COVID. So the projections, they changed, and now that there's concerns about how Social Security has been funded. Has it been funded enough? Has it been managed appropriately? And what status the status of that will be as we move forward.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed.
Right.
Will. Fingers crossed. We want that money.
Crossed. It's always safe to have your plan not consider it. And if something is there, tremendous, we'll take it. But it's nice to be able to plan for things on our own. And like I said, it's nothing our generation's not used to.
So the industry has transitioned to fiduciary. Now, what does that exactly mean?
Fiduciary means that we have to act in our best interest of our clients when it comes to their money. A fiduciary textbook definition is just that. Somebody that acts in the best interest of somebody else when it comes to their financial scenario. And Gen X really is going into their planning in kind of a great time right now, because regardless of most financial advisors' status or company, how we're structured, this is the norm now. We have to do this. So we aren't just selling a financial product for the sake of our clients or for the sake of our sales goals or for the sake of our company or for the sake of a commission. We have to explain to our clients how we get paid, and we have to do what's in our clients' best interest. So gone are the days of the financial product salesperson or the stockbroker. If you remember Bud Fox in Wall Street trying to, make thousands of phone calls a day so he can sell stocks to whoever answered the phone, can't happen anymore. Now there's a much more strict process that's necessary. So gone are the days of the stockbroker and the cold call to sell shares of stock.
And that's good news for the consumer, right?
Yes, because now their goals and their financial objectives have to be considered. That doesn't mean that the stockbroker was trying to lose folks money. It just means that now, does that advice fit into the financial objectives of their client? And that's why Gen Xers have loved our process so much, because it takes all of that into consideration. Our process is not designed for us. It's designed for our clients. It's to make sure that they're very clear about what their financial objectives are. We are very clear about how our solutions can help them. And then we're very clear about making sure that we are adapting as conditions change, whether it's market conditions, economic conditions, whether it's individual conditions and changes in their employment, changes in opportunities that they can take advantage of, changes in opportunities when it comes to education planning for their children. All of those things, we have to make sure that we can adapt in addition to putting everything in place at the beginning.
So how much should we worry about market conditions? Now, we've always been kind of led to believe it's the main factor.
Having a good plan can really lessen the impact of market conditions. That doesn't mean it doesn't make our bellies hurt every time we see a ton of volatility in the stock market. There are an infinite amount of news sources that are going to remind us every day how we should feel about the market and how we should feel about, different investment movements. However, a good plan is going to allow us to weather those storms. Obviously, we're going to be communicating through all of those different type of market environments and, trying our best to make transitions and help our clients understand what's going on and take advantage of, opportunities that we see in the market. But a good plan is going to remember that the market does what the market does, and that there's averages for a reason, and that the market will typically adhere to those averages over a long haul. And as long as we keep that forward-looking perspective in mind and understand that our time horizon is what's most important and where we still have our biggest advantage as Gen Xers, it's that becomes more important than what the market did today or what the talking heads think the market is going to do in the next week or 2 weeks or 6 months.
We know that the market is a long game, right? That we we're putting into our 401ks and we're investing in the market and all of that kind of stuff, and we've been told that, it's a long game. So, no matter what's happening, just leave everything the way that it is. But what about for those people, and it's not really Gen X yet, but that are going to start taking the money out What
Right.
kind of changes do you make if the market is extremely
Well,
volatile?
and ironically, Gen Xers, we're only 5 years away from 62. We're only 5 years away from being able to make that first Social Security claim and start considering the distribution phase of our lives and living off of the money that we've accumulated. And it is an important transition. It's a transition that it makes us, the biggest impact is how we feel about our money at that time. We tell our clients, we even view it in our firm, the accumulation phase is easy.
I
Understanding.
disagree, but no, I'm kidding.
But save as much as you can, budget, and save as much as possible and invest it. We know the market's going to go up, the market's going to go down. Down times when you're accumulating is actually the best time to start considering, putting more money into the market or investing. The down times are what gives us the opportunities. But in the distribution phase, the volatile times in the market, they tend to hurt a little bit more. They tend to keep us awake a little bit more at night. They tend to make us rethink our goals. And that's what we try to help our clients avoid is, understanding that those down times are going to occur, understanding that we are here and we are monitoring and working with their portfolios through those down times. But that doesn't mean you need to be lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, worrying about if you're going to be able to take advantage of the opportunity, take the trip, have the family events that you want to have, just because, the market is volatile a bit.
So why is it so important to start planning early? And it's one of those things that we've all been told. I was told in my 20s, start doing it now. I didn't listen. Many people in their 20s don't listen. So, when is really the realistic best time to get started? And how important is it to make sure that we're doing something?
Sure. And that answer is easy. That answer is right now. And that's regardless of if you have a 5-year time horizon, a 20-year time horizon, a 40-year time horizon. The planning process is different for folks in those stages, but the time is now. Every client of ours that's a baby boomer, that is retired, that is heading into retirement, the number one thing 100% of them will always say is, I wish I would have started this earlier. And that doesn't matter what they've done. Some of them have done a fantastic job of accumulating and saving and been very diligent, but they wish they would have done it sooner. And that's the one thing that I do know that they've told us as their children, that they've told their millennial age children, that they're starting to preach to their Gen Z age children now is start planning, start doing this now, regardless of dollar amounts. And we are seeing that as the generations progress, they have got more financially savvy. They've got more, they've started to have a longer view on saving and investing. But the answer to that question is, if you haven't done it yet, right now. And if you have been doing it and you have any doubts or any concerns about your plan, now's the time to review it. Now's the time to check on that, particularly because we are in a little bit of a pocket of volatility when it comes to the market right now. And these pockets of volatility are going to occur as we go, as we accumulate, as we save, as we then retire and take distributions from that money. These pockets of volatility, we're never going to be immune to them. And we're never going to they're always going to occur. So it's, in my opinion, it's the best time to review your plan to make sure that you're still on track. And if not, make adjustments. Let's make adjustments. Let's see how we either get you back on track or confirm that everything we're doing is okay.
So when we get to the distribution part, is that when we're like so super conservative that we're not even trying to make more? We're just trying to make sure we don't lose any?
Not necessarily. Like I mentioned, the sequence of returns is important, and the market downs seem to hurt, and they hurt our bellies more than anything else. But, retiring at 65 with a life expectancy of 95 still means you have 30 years to not use the market and to not use equities can be a bit limiting.
Not smart. That's
right. It could be a bit limiting. And it's important to have that perspective. When we sit down with a 65-year-old, we have to imagine that we're sitting down with a 92-year-old.
Right.
And how do we get you through these next 30 years to make sure that you're having the lifestyle that you want at 92 in addition to 65. So those types of that's why the plan becomes important, and that's why navigating these little volatile moments is important.
So when we're talking about the plan, we're coming to you and we're starting to make a plan. There's homework.
Yes.
There's homework.
Yes. And in true Gen X fashion, we were okay with doing our homework on our own, right, Wendy?
No, Will, I hate homework.
That's
do it
always
for me.
Do it for, and that's what we try to do as much of it as we can. However, there is some data accumulation that's necessary. Getting statements together, having an understanding of what your household expenses are. Those are important things that, has to be a conversation at home or some accumulation at home. It's not intense. And there's no grade. So you don't have to worry about if you did it correctly. But the one thing is that the better the information that we have, the better the plan will be. It's kind of like going to your doctor and forgetting to tell them that your family history. Well, that's a big part of how your doctor can, monitor your health and understand the events that could be coming up in your life based on your family history.
Mm-hmm.
Money's no different. Understanding our money and financial planning is really no different. And understanding what you've done to this point, what you have accumulated, how that's allocated and positioned is very important, even if it is assets that you don't want your financial advisor to manage. It's okay to say, no, this account is staying where it is, but it's important that we know about it. So the accounts that we are managing, we're doing our best, because if not, you can put yourself in peril, and that's not why any of us are in business.
Well, before we wrap up, I have one more extremely important question for you, Will.
Okay.
Who was your favorite VJ?
Oh, no,
I'm always stumping you, aren't I?
That's okay. My wife's going to hear this. I always had a crush on Martha Quinn.
Really?
Yeah. Martha Quinn, now on the the XM90 station, you have Downtown Julie Brown is always on there, and she's great. But I had a crush on Martha Quinn.
Not Nina Blackwood?
Nah, I like Nina Blackwood, like them all. Kurt Loder, love them all, but Martha Quinn had to be my favorite.
I was going to mention Kurt Loder because I was in news, and I wanted to be the first MTV news reporter that was female.
Okay.
And it's funny, he just kind of fell off the face of the earth, Kurt Loder did, but Chris Connolly was his backup, and he is now on ABC. He does all of the award shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he came from MTV.
Yes. A lot of folks have come from MTV. It's kind of like the Saturday Night Live of our generation, where folks have, used as their springboard and their launching ground. And, the MTV Spring Break series had a lot of great folks that emerged from there. But yeah, if I have to name one VJ, Martha Quinn was always my favorite.
Yeah, and we got Jenny McCarthy from MTV. The show Singled Out.
And
yes. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Carson Daly, who's now on
yes, NBC.
On NBC, right?
The Today Show. He also does the what is the NBC version of American Idol?
The Voice.
The Voice, yes. So I had met him at the MTV beach house in Seaside one time.
Cool.
We passed each other on the stairway, and he went, "What's up?" My claim to fame when it comes to Carson.
You got to meet him. Nice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's technically meeting, but well, Will, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for joining us today on Monetary Mixtape with Will Hoffman. Please like, follow, or subscribe. And Will, how can people get in touch with you?
Best way is always our website, hoffmanwealth.com. Our website has a link up there to schedule a phone call with us, schedule a discovery call to see if any of these things that you're going through can be fixed. If your plan's on track, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of our free second opinion service to see how everything's going for you. And if we can help, and if not, confirm that everything you're doing is right on track.
Get that gut check fixed.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Don't bounce just yet. The street lights haven't come on. Thank you for listening to the Monetary Mixtape Podcast. If you thought this episode was dope, then click the follow button to be notified when we drop a new episode. Visit our website at hoffmanwealth.com or give us a call at 724-522-5411. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Hoffman Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Hoffman Wealth Management are separate entities from LPL Financial. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly.